Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the state Supreme Court hears a Medicaid expansion lawsuit. Also tonight, we'll speak with newly elected Congressman Ruben Gallego, and we'll hear from the founding dean of ASU's Barrett Honors College. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The state Supreme Court traveled to the University of Arizona today for oral arguments on a lawsuit against the state's expansion of Medicaid. Howard Fisher of Capital Media Services covered the hearing and joins us live now from Tucson. Howie, good to have you here. What exactly did the Supreme Court hear today?
They heard essentially the first of what could be two arguments. In 2013, the legislature voted by a simple majority to expand Medicaid to cover people under 138% of the federal poverty level and to levy what the governor calls an assessment on hospitals to pay for much of that. Well, the dissident lawmakers say it's really a tax, and under the Constitution you need a 2/3 vote for a tax increase, and it didn't get the 2/3 vote. So the dissident Republicans went to court and said, this cannot take effect. Where we are now is that the legislators are saying, to the Supreme Court, let us sue, let us go in and challenge this. The governor is saying, you don't even have standing to sue. The only people who have standing to sue are the hospitals that are affected by the tax or levy or assessment, whatever you want to call it. And if only the hospitals can sue, then the legislators can't. Now here's where it gets real interesting. Chief Justice Scott Bales pointed out that the hospitals have no incentive to sue because they structured the assessment in such a way that the hospitals will be getting more back in compensated care from people who are insured than from the assessment. And he said, why do we have to wait for the hospitals since there's a constitutional issue here?
And again, this was a Supreme Court judge initially dismissed this in February. Then the Court of Appeals came along and reversed that decision. That is why the Supreme Court is hearing this now, correct?
Exactly. And what we'll eventually have is a decision on that question of standing. Now, if the justices decide there's no standing, case goes away, Medicaid expansion goes on. If they decide lawmakers have standing to sue over whether it needed a 2/3 vote, now it goes back to the trial judge, then they hear questions, is it a tax? Or as the governor says, is it simply an assessment for regulatory purposes? And then we'll be back up to the Supreme Court perhaps in another year.
Have we seen in the past this challenge or this question as to what is a tax and what is an assessment?
We haven't seen anything quite like this because of the fact that lawmakers have essentially given state agencies the power to levy assessments on a simple majority. But what they've done is they've left it up to the agency to decide how much to assess. Real Estate Department, Department of Environmental Quality does assessments so they can go ahead and run the agency. The governor's argument is this is the same thing, that it's not the legislature that's levying this. The legislature authorized Tom Betlach, head of the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, to make an assessment on hospitals, to decide which hospitals pay, which hospitals don't pay. And she said that makes it an assessment rather than a tax. The argument of Senate President Andy Biggs, who was down here today, is you can call it what you want. It's involuntary. It's being assessed, and it's going essentially into the general fund to fund Medicaid expansion, and he said that makes it a tax.
And I know that lawmakers are concerned because what they say is happening with this situation is you can get by the 2/3 vote if you vote to get by the 2/3 vote, and they say that's not kosher, whereas the other side, the governor's side, is basically saying that you're suing because you lost a vote. Very interesting arguments.
Well, it is, and one of the interesting things that happened is Justice Robert Brutinel was questioning Timothy Berg, who's the governor's lawyer, and Berg said, well, these lawmakers don't have standing to sue because they weren't damaged, it's only the hospitals were damaged. And Justice Brutinel said, well, excuse me, Mr. Berg, what if it was the majority of lawmakers saying that red-headed lawmakers cannot vote on this issue, on the assessment/tax? And Tim Berg said, well, it still wouldn't matter. The red-headed lawmakers would not have a right to sue because it would be the hospitals that are damaged. I think that didn't sit well with Justice Brutinel in terms of saying do lawmakers have a right? Got to remember that Proposition 108 was approved back in the 1990s specifically because voters said they wanted a 2/3 vote for anything that's a tax. They were tired of taxes enacted by a simple majority, which is why they put it in. And so Christina Sandifer, who's the attorney for Goldwater Institute, who's representing the dissident lawmakers, say you're not only infringing on the rights of the dissident lawmakers, but you're infringing on the right of the public, which is entitled to that additional protection.
Okay, before we let you go, Howie, describe the hearing. Well, first of all, why was it held in Tucson? And describe the hearing. I know the governor was down there, President Biggs down there. Anyone else of note attending?
No, not really. Those were really the two folks of any note. Now, you did have some protesters down here who did not like the whole Medicaid expansion and such. The reason that we were down in Tucson is the Supreme Court takes its cases on the road from time to time. They've done this at ASU Law School, they've done it at the U of A, they've done it at the Phoenix College of Law, they've even done it occasionally at high schools. And the idea is to give folks a chance who don't get to come up to Phoenix and sit in the courtroom to see what happens, how does it happen, and to see the fact that this is a very, what they call a hot bench. That it's not like the justices go ahead and say, well, just tell us what you want. They ask a lot of very pointed questions, and that's really the key, and I think it's very educational for the students at the U of A College of Law to see that.
All right, we'll see where it goes from here. Howie, good stuff. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Former state lawmaker Ruben Gallego was elected Tuesday night to represent Arizona's 7th Congressional District. Gallego replaces Ed Pastor, who is retiring after 24 years in Congress. And joining us now is Representative-elect Ruben Gallego. Good to have you here. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much.
First order of business for you in Washington, D.C. What's it going to be?
First order of business is really just trying to form a good relationship across the aisle and within your own caucus. Nothing really happens in D.C. Right now unless you do it in a very bipartisan manner. It started the basics and just talking to people and, getting to know people and putting a good staff together.
And when you go back there, obviously you're going to have to ask a lot of questions. You're going to have to learn from a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Who do you plan to learn from?
Well, I think we have a great delegation. Kirsten Sinema is just a superstar in Congress and in Arizona, and I'll lean a lot on her. Ann Kirkpatrick is just well regarded among a lot of other Congress members, and I'll be talking to her. And then when it comes to armed services, because I do believe Ron Barber will be coming back, I'll also be leaning a lot on Ron Barber too.
As far as Representative Pastor, have you spoken with him?
I have. We've actually talked several times. He's been very helpful, and I look forward to gaining more knowledge from him too. And Pastor has been very. I got to say the whole delegation's been really good. Congressman Grijalva especially has been a great guiding light from day one, even during the campaign.
As far as being different from Representative Pastor, what do you think you're going to bring?
It's hard to say. Congressman Pastor had a great 22-year career run that we basically can thank what we know as modern downtown Phoenix because of him. It's hard to say what kind of style I have because I really need to get there and just figure it out because it's a whole new ball game, to be honest.
I was going to say it's got to be a little bit humbling because you go back there and you really do need to kind of watch and learn and wait a little bit, don't you?
Exactly, and that's how I've always been able to succeed in life, whether it was in the Marine Corps, whether it's getting myself through college or in the state legislature. It's finding good mentors, taking your time, forming good relationships, and striking at the right time.
What can you realistically expect to get done as a freshman member of the minority party?
Well, for one, it feels like deja vu because when I came into the Arizona State Legislature in 2010, I came in into such a small caucus that you could have fed us with 2 extra large pizzas. And it's going to be difficult. I think the most important thing I could do is focus on constituent services right away. That's something that my district desperately needs. Focus on veterans issues. As an Iraq War veteran, that's something that's especially near and dear to my heart. And I think it's also something that's very bipartisan that we can be working on across the aisle. And you've seen people like Kyrsten Sinema and Representative Ann Kirkpatrick really pushing that already and working across the aisle to get some great bills through.
Some of those constituent services, what are you talking about there?
Well, it's just the basics, like making sure people, whenever they have problems getting their Social Security or getting any kind of government benefit that they're due, making sure that we're answering the phone call and connecting the people to the right department, or whether it's making sure that business is able to get whatever they need out of their federal government. All these kinds of things are really important, I think, especially for a district like this, which needs a lot of help.
As far as the bigger issues now, immigration, obviously a biggie, and it's with the makeup of Congress now, there's a lot of concern and a lot of question as to what the president is going to do. If he bypasses Congress, if he goes through executive action, what are your thoughts along those lines?
I think he should go through executive action right away. The history of the Republican Congress so far has been to delay and obstruct, and I think anything that, if we expect them to do anything in terms of comprehensive immigration reform, it's not going to happen. This is just a delay tactic until they pull it off. They put it off for another reason. They'll come up with another reason. And at this point, there's families that are hurting. There are millions of families that are potentially going to be separated when we just don't need this to happen. We need some administrative relief, and I think it'd be better for the country if we did it.
If the Republicans do come up with something tangible, something concrete, something they can send, get through Congress and up to the president. First of all, if you are met with something of that nature, is it just, you have to look at it seriously.
Oh, absolutely. Look, comprehensive immigration reform is supported across the aisle by both Democrats and Republicans and independents. We want to have a solution to this problem we've had for more than a decade and even longer than that. So if the solution is a Republican solution and it's one that actually is sane and just, especially for our families and for the American public, I'm definitely going to look at it. And it doesn't matter whose name is on there as a sponsor.
What is sane and just as far as you're concerned?
Well, and to go into some detail, we need to have a verified manner for somebody to put themselves right with the law, to be able to come out of the shadows. If it means paying a fine, that's fine, but it can't be an onerous fine. If it means they have to wait a little longer in order for them to be eligible to become a citizen, that's fine, as long as, again, it's not an onerous manner. But it needs to be very predictive, and it needs to be something that is on par with what was occurring, which is the de facto amnesty that occurred for 20 years.
As far as other issues, major issues, American intervention in foreign affairs, where do you stand on that? And can you make a line and use it in every single situation? Because some folks can. They say, no, nothing, or we got to be involved in everything.
No, I think you have to be very flexible when it comes to our foreign policy. The nature of foreign policy is so fungible that if you don't have a foreign policy that actually is flexible to that, you could find yourself in a very tight situation. And when it comes to Iraq, for me it's heartbreaking. I cleared a lot of those cities of insurgents. I lost a lot of good friends. And there's a certain level of pride that says, well, we should go in there. But the last thing we need is to send foot soldiers into a country that, at the core, once we stabilize the Iraqi military, they should be able to take care of this on their own. It was a political problem that caused this. And once the Iraqi government starts truly sharing government with the Sunnis and the Kurds, they should be able to defeat ISIS. But us sending in troops to basically take care of this for them is not going to help them forge a long-lasting Iraqi government.
As far as the election is concerned, your thoughts, why do you think there was a GOP landslide?
Well, I think there is a lot of reasons why, but turnout is usually really bad, as it is for Democrats, or actually any party that's out of that the president's in power is going to have a really bad midterm. And this one has been especially bad. But I think also it's very important that the Democrats need to really run good campaigns and have strong messages. I think the campaigns that ran strong messages have come out successful. Look at Ann Kirkpatrick, Kyrsten Sinema, and Ron Barber. And Ron will pull it off. And the reason they won is because they had a strong message. that was really able to withstand the tide. And Kirsten is winning by double digits in a district that is, it was one of the reddest districts of all the districts that are held by the Democrats here. And credit is to people like that who can run campaigns like that.
As far as Latino turnout, we hear every election cycle that this will be the election,
Right.
that the Hispanic vote rises to what some expect to see. What do you expect to see, and why has that been so difficult, that turnout?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why. First of all, the Latino population can't bring something over the victory unless it's a coalition, and we have to be in a coalition with working class people, our Anglo community and African American community, and that's when we're able really to tip the balance. I think we really have to wait and see the actual returns. We could actually see who did turn out and who didn't, because in certain instances, the Latino community did turn out. We did see that. In certain instances, it was the Anglo community that did not turn out. So we really have to wait and see. The harder problem of why it's difficult to mobilize the Latino community is that they're younger and they're more mobile. So even if you register somebody 1 year, by the time you come around and try to talk to them, they've already moved on to another home. And that's a true situation for almost any population that's that young. So we, as Latino leaders, have to continuously be doing Latino turnout operations every year. And that's something that I'm going to dedicate myself to doing. We did it this year. We're going to continue doing next year until we create a culture of turnout within the Latino community here.
Well, all right. You excited to get back to D.C. and get some work done?
It's been very interesting. Right now I'm just trying to catch up with all the honey-do lists.
Yes.
So as soon as that's done, I'll be
Yes.
there.
Oh, there are priorities. Congratulations. Good to have you here. Thanks
Thank you
for
so
joining.
much. Thank you.
The founding dean of ASU's Barrett Honors College is retiring next spring. Ted Humphrey is stepping down after a long and varied career that began on the Tempe campus back in 1966. We welcome Ted Humphrey to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations on quite a career back. 1966. What was that campus like back in 66?
I remember the first time I was there. For my interview, I just bought a black suit and they just plowed up College Avenue, and I found myself on my interview sessions walking back and forth across College Avenue and kind of like Pigpen. The dust kept coming up. But it was, it was then, as it is now, a campus in development, and you could see that really wonderful things were going to happen there.
What brought you here and what got you into this honors program business?
What brought me here was the offer of a tenure-track position, and my entire time in academia has been difficult for persons seeking tenure-track positions. So I had that offer. And really the Department of Philosophy at that time had a very specific slot for a person with my abilities or my training. And it was nice for me to fit in to that.
And you fit in, and not only did you fit in, you wound up getting an honors program started. Talk to us about that, because it wasn't always Barrett, and it wasn't always as big a deal as it is now.
No, an awful lot of things just start out, have their foundation in one's own life. I started at University at Berkeley, and I had gone from a very small town, 1,000 then, 1,000 now, and I looked a lot like students in Arizona look today. That is, I was a first-generation college student. At Berkeley, I found myself lost, and I had to leave Berkeley. Unfortunately, I still kind of really identify with Berkeley, and I ended up at UC Riverside, which at the time was a very small campus. It was about 1,400 undergraduates, 200 graduate students, and 400 faculty. And it was that kind of small environment that I felt comfortable in, that nurtured me on in graduate school and in my career. And I saw something very similar happening in the state of Arizona. Namely, our three campuses are actually more alike than they are different. That is to say, they're large universities, and I saw a lot of first generation college students coming there and foundering, not able to find their way around these campuses. Furthermore, at that time, when I took over the honors program in 1983, Arizona was sending 80% of its top 5% high school graduates out of state. We were sending 90% of our national merit scholars out of state. We didn't have a good place for them to go.
And you developed a place for them to
Well,
go.
that was the whole idea. How do we keep Arizona's very best students here, and how do we attract students from out of state?
So how
come
did
here.
that effort and getting that honors program off the ground, how did that become the Barrett Honors College?
At a certain point, in agreement with President Laddie Coor, we decided we would just go out and actively recruit very strong students. And we went after national merit scholars. And we went from attracting maybe 15 or 20 national merit scholars per year to the first year we went out, we had 118 come. And we were in the midst of a capital campaign, and Craig and Barbara Barrett came to President Coor and said, we'd really like to make a gift to the university, and it turned into a naming gift for the college. We were the first college named.
Interesting.
At ASU.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
And okay, and then obviously the Barrett Honors got much success, continued success, but you have kind of decided to get back into faculty. What was that all
Well,
about?
I'd spent 25 years continuously in an administrative position. I went straight from a chairmanship to a directorship to a deanship. And the year I became became director of the honors program, I'd published 2 books. They were very, very well reviewed. And the energy it took to develop the college meant that I wasn't writing. It also meant that I wasn't in the classroom as much of the time as I wanted to be. And I just didn't want to end my career as an administrator. I really love being with students.
But you must look at the college now, and you must be awfully proud of what you see.
Oh, it's developed wonderfully. It's had the support of several presidents, and President Crow has really helped us become the premier honors college in the United States, just hands down.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? With that, my last question to you is, you've been here for about 50 some odd, close to 50 years now.
Yep.
Where do you see ASU in another 50 years?
Oh boy, I can't even conceive. And particularly if we continue this trajectory of development. I think ASU is the post-World War II university that has developed in the most significant ways of any post-World War II university in the country.
How so?
Look at our research record at this point. This is in absolutely every survey of universities. This is a top 100 in the world university. Virtually every one of our programs, graduate and undergraduate, is ranked well into the top 50 programs. It's just and the physical plant.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Really stunning.
Well, you have been a major part of that growth, and congratulations on a wonderful career, and good luck on what will no doubt be an active retirement. I can't imagine
will
you
be
sitting around
active.
doing too much. Good to have you here. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
And Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalists Roundtable. We'll look back on Tuesday's general election and see what it means for Arizona's future, and the State House and Senate choose new leadership. Those stories and more Friday on the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.